Now, many of you may not know because you have not been in a situation, but the courts can be quite upsetting to most men who are going in there to try and get custody of their child or even visitation. On occasion, men encounter situations where their emotional state is tested to the point of breaking. Thankfully, a lot of them do not give in to that urge, or at least they have someone in their corner that urges them not to. But on occasion, you can become the kind of person that you have never thought about being simply because everything else you have is gone. Now, I do believe that the courts do have some sort of vendetta against men, and I do understand why, because as much as people scream patriarchy from the tops of the roof, the real issue here is that women have way more rights in the courts than men will ever have, both from prison sentencing for something wrong and for the amount of time that they get their children as opposed to the husband or ex thereof. In this case, we are going to look into the unfortunate case of one Judge Andrew Wilkinson.
In Western Maryland are investigating the death of a judge who was found in his driveway last night with multiple gunshot wounds. 52-year-old Judge Andrew Wilkinson was pronounced dead at the hospital. His death was ruled a
Judge Wilkinson was involved in a dispute in court with a certain individual, and the man had gone through divorce. The wife had taken just about everything she could from him, and the last thing that he was looking for was visitation. The judge took that away too and deemed it unnecessary for him to see his children. So not only did he lose half of his estate, most of his income, as well as money trying to fight the courts, he found out that he was no longer going to be able to be around his children. This pushed the man over the edge, and while the judge was standing in his driveway, the individual took his life. Now, why are we covering this story? Too Strong is not notorious for going after parental rights and stuff like that, but there is a bigger issue at hand, and that is the view of the world on men. We've been attacked in every which way on earth, okay? That's been the norm. Men have either been seen as the idiot, the rapist, or some other nefarious character. Men. You talk about divorce, everyone sees the husband as what? The bad guy. Discipline, you're too harsh. Not enough discipline, you're too soft. Single dad, you can't do nothing. You can't raise this child. At every turn, women are looking to emasculate men as well. So is the media. Oh, we can't have straight men. That's too manly. We got to make you a little more feminine. Get in touch with your feelings. And then when the need arises for protection, men are no longer there. In this scenario, it is sustained, upheld, and pushed by the court system when it comes to children. They're using them as meat shields, if you will, against men. Men who are trying their best just to be what they're supposed to be. Did you know that 75% of the divorces that are issued here in America are started by women? Men don't normally look for the divorce. They're more willing to work things out. And the stats are rising that they're less to cause the divorce too. In fact, the new movement is to have women do all the cheating and then say, it's because you didn't give me what I wanted that I had to do that. And they're praised because they're looking for what is about them. They're trying to get theirs. A man cannot be speaking about his pains. He cannot be speaking about what he's going through because he's seen as weak. A man can no longer take time for himself because you need to be doing something. And then when all of it culminates and there's no respite, no reprieve, no escape, men harness all of their doings and beings into one solid action that may cost both them and the people around them their life. In this case, a judge. You see, society has become a cesspool. And what is up is down, what's left is right, and what's right is wrong. And it's become normal. And at the helm of it, as much as we want to say men rule this world, I'm going to put some stats to you and you can tell me if we really rule. we are 3 times more likely to commit suicide, 3 times more likely to be homeless, 3 times more likely to go to jail, 3 times more likely to get abused in jail. But we run things, right? It's a patriarchy. Women win nearly 90% of the court cases when it comes to custody, whether or not they're capable. Some of them not even wanting it. In fact, the majority of them don't want it. They're doing it just to spite the man that they hate. Meat shields. So I have a message for the men. I'm not talking to the women. I'm not talking to single moms. This message is not for you. I'm sure you can learn something from it, but I don't know if you're going to listen. So I'll speak to the people who need to hear this. Men, you have a very specific calling just by the nature of who you are at birth. God put you in a very specific role, and that's to lead. But you can't lead from a position of weakness, meaning from yourself. See, our problem is that we ourselves have to be blamed for straying this far. Okay, and I've said that before. Personal responsibility is where it starts. You have to find the person that fuels you, and that's God. If you don't find that, your troubles are just going to become more and more unbearable. You see, the thing about it is this: the world hates you. They don't want you to prosper because you are the linchpin in God's hierarchy. And the more defamed your name, the less likely they are to give you the role you're supposed to have. And the more you give in to the instinct that you naturally have, which is protection, and it can be skewed into anger and lash out. Don't give in. They're banking on that. They are hoping that you will do exactly what you're designed to do. Go feral and protect. And unfortunately, when it's not aimed correctly, you get yourself some really hot water. So men, I urge you to find your guide before you shoot that arrow off. The end result will only be bad for you, but more so, the people you say you love. In this case, that man thought he was at the end of his rope, nothing else left to lose. What else are they going to take from me? My life, they took it already. And so he solidified his choice. But please, men, do not let it get this far. Do not let it get this far. This is one example I want you to take to heart and change course.